One of the three teens arrested in connection to a mass shooting last year will go to trial. 19-year-old William Brown waived his right this week to physically appear for his arraignment in Douglas County District Court. He is also pleading not guilty to a number of charges, including first-degree murder. The shooting happened near 24th and Clark Streets in North O back on October 1st. Police identified the victim as Lamarante Swift. Surveillance video shows Brown and two others firing shots from a stolen car. The other two juveniles face similar charges as adults. One of them filed a motion just yesterday to have his case moved down to juvenile courts.